Hello everyone and welcome back to Reddit Taletales. Today we've got some relationship advice for you all, so sit back, relax, and we're just going to jump straight into it today. Let's get started. Fiance tried to cut my implant out while I slept. Throwaway account because I don't want this attached to my regular account. Anyways, I, 25F, have a 2-year-old son from a previous relationship. After I gave birth, I was asked about birth control. I said, yes please. And now I have Nexaplan, a birth control that gets inserted into your upper arm. I was told it lasted 3 years. Cut to now, my fiance, 27M, told me he wants a baby. I said I did too, just not now, and that I get my implant out after the 3 years are up, and I won't replace it. This wasn't soon enough for him. He wanted me pregnant now. I stood firm and said I'm not ready to have another baby. I want to be a little bit more stable, money-wise and in general. Fiance was mad and we got into a big argument. I brought up my son and told him my son sees him as a father figure, that we already have a child to take care of while my birth control runs its course. All of a sudden he started shouting at me, saying he wanted a baby that's biologically his, and that every time he looks at my son he gets angry. I asked him why and he told me it's because he sees my ex in my son. My son looks a lot like his father. He then went on to tell me he doesn't feel like a parental figure to my son. He has no personal attachment to him and says it's because my son isn't biologically his and he resents us for this. Hence the baby talk. He wanted my arm implant out immediately. I said no way. I'm not ready for another baby yet. We continue to argue about this until I'm finally tired and frustrated. So I say I'm done arguing and just head into our bedroom. An important fact to know is that I take medication to sleep, a pretty strong medication with a high dosage. It knocks me flat on my ass. The Sandman comes and slaps me across the face, so I know I'm down for the count. After the argument, I take my pills and I go to bed. My fiance was still in the living room when I fell into a deep sleep. Now another important fact, my fiance knows where my implant is. He's felt it underneath my skin, as it's very noticeable when you're feeling it around. I'm sleeping when I stir slightly, awake after I felt fingers on my upper arm, prodding. With my eyes still shut, I tell my fiance to stop poking me. I assumed he was just being petty and childish because of the fight. He doesn't stop, and not 5 seconds after poking me, he presses down at the exact spot where my implant is. At this point, I'm starting to get more alert and annoyed. I just wanted sleep and I can't do that when I'm being jabbed. I open my eyes to see what the hell he's doing and ask why his finger is pressing directly on my implant. The minute I open my eyes, I notice an object in his free hand, a box cutter, which was very close to my upper arm. Now I'm full on alert and ask him what the F he's doing. He immediately looked guilty and tries to throw excuses at me. I was just trying to scare you. I was just checking to make sure you were alive. It's a coincidence I'm holding a box cutter. I called bullshit on every excuse and said I wanted the truth. He looked down then told me he was doing me a favour. What favour? Glad you asked. He was going to remove the implant from my arm. He said he's studied how to do it and he's confident he can safely remove it. He said, we can start expanding our own family now. No need to wait 8 months. I am livid. I immediately shouted at him to get the F away from me and don't touch me. He tries to talk to me, but I keep yelling he needs to leave. He can't stay at our house right now because he admitted he was going to cut into my arm, thus breaking my trust. Finally, he walked out the bedroom and a minute later I hear the front door open and close. It's been 3 hours and he still hasn't come back, and I don't know what to do when he does. I don't know where we go from here. I love this man dearly, but I don't think I can forgive and forget this. I don't know what to do. Advice, please. Edit. I called my mother and she said I can stay with her, so I'm taking my son and leaving. I can't respond to every comment, but just for a few quick questions. He's never acted like this before. He's always been so gentle and kind to me and my son. The argument and then the box cutter is completely new. During the fight, I hoped he was just in the heat of the moment and saying shit he doesn't mean because he's angry. I was hoping, naively, that he'd be back to sweet/kind the next morning and apologise for the hurtful comments and trying to overstep my boundaries. I honestly didn't think he'd come at me. I mean, once that's happened, walk away. If they don't understand that there are limitations to everything, walk out that relationship, because they're just going to get worse and worse the longer that relationship goes on. It's going to be more abusive. And this is just insane. Going to cut someone's arm open just because you know where it is. No. I mean, 8 months. All they had to do was wait 8 months for him to start his family. It's not that long of a time when you're an adult. Well, what do you guys think? I'm moving on from this. My parents have apparently formed a suicide. My brother, 35 male, called me last night to tell me that I was in a bit of a deep conversation with my mum, 61, and she told him that he needs to know that if something happens to her, it wasn't a murder. Apparently my dad, 67, has been talking about killing himself if/when his business fails, and she made him promise he'd kill her first. My mum has struggled with her mental health for my entire life. She hasn't worked since 1995. My dad has kept them afloat, but only barely. They should be in a fantastic financial situation, but he squandered all of their wealth, investing all his time and money into a delusional business idea that has been nothing but a money pit for 7 or 8 years now. The IRS has a lien on their house, which is in itself in foreclosure. My dad has an extreme temper and has been to her and my brother and he has shrunk my mother to a shell of the person she was before him. She has no friends. She sits in the house all day and plays on a tablet. I've tried to get her to find work or a hobby or volunteer, but she won't do anything. She is on antidepressants. She considers the marriage loveless but feels trapped with nowhere to go. Apparently my father has gotten himself into a serious financial pickle and may owe a business partner tens of thousands of dollars. He's beginning to realise the jig is finally up, and he's told my mum that when he finally calls it on the business, he's going to off himself. The plan is he will shoot her and then himself. My brother and I called my mum's sister in another state and made arrangements for her to spirit her away to stay with her for a week or so, and once she's there, offer her work and an unlimited stay. My dad and I still have a relationship, and I'm very, very scared of what he'll do when he finds out either that she's leaving or even worse, that my brother and I orchestrated her escape. Should we have stayed out of it? It feels like every option is worse than the next. Advice. I mean, what you're doing there sounds like the best option you can do. It sounds like a very dark and dangerous situation to be in, so I think getting her out from that house, separating and distancing yourself, it's probably best to cut off your father at that point and separate that, because it sounds, or get him help, get him into a mental health, get him into a mental health place, get him checked out, get it all looked at, what's going on there, and keep your mum safe as best as possible. You know, that's the main thing you can do. But good job, OP. I, 26 male, caught my wife, 24, cheating. A few weeks ago, my wife was having a few drinks to celebrate getting a new job. I saw her texting someone a bunch of messages, and when I asked, just out of curiosity, she quickly hid her phone and said no one and wouldn't explain. I let it go, thinking she was just being tipsy and weird, until about an hour later, she was on the couch and took a photo of her new sunburn by her bikini line and sent it to someone. I saw her then open up a conversation, read a message, then delete it. I kept quiet, and when she left to put our youngest down, I quietly took her phone and opened it. I saw messages to a number saying how bad she wants snuggles, how drunk she is, and that picture. The other person responded to the picture with Wish the picture was wider, winky face. And once I saw that, I lost it. She also had the other person on that 0 notification setting iPhones have. I freaked out at her, left for a few hours and came back. She denied everything, saying it was her sister and she was being a hoe and joking around. I didn't believe her at all. I told her I wanted a divorce, all that stuff. Long story short, she ended up initiating intimate time, and that was the last of that. I never lost the feeling she was lying and remembered the number she was messaging. Since that night, she has changed her password and deleted the whole conversation. Kids were watching YouTube and I snuck on to the next day. I just did a phone number search and it came back as a guy from her past I've had huge issues with. Last month I came back from a deployment overseas. I had a feeling during that time she was cheating but didn't have proof. I don't know what to do anymore. I've got 2 kids and are about to buy a house. I've been married for 5 years. I still have a number saved. I'm tempted to call the guy, but I don't know. I just need some help. I mean, first option, don't buy the house. Don't invest any more into it. She's lied about who that was. She's keeping it secret. She's keeping it away from you. If it was something simple and just nonchalant, you know, it was just a friend who she's, you know, still in contact with, it should be fine. But she's keeping it so secretive, so she's trying her best to remove it as best as possible. You're gonna have to, I think, leave her and take care of yourself, take care of your children, you know, give yourself that time to recover and heal. And I wish you the best of luck, OP, and to anyone else in that situation. That's all we have time for today. If you liked any of these stories, please leave a comment down below about which one was your favourite. Hit that like button and subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys all again very soon. Goodbye.